There's growing outrage over continuous killings and abductions by bandits in Katsina State, northwestern Nigeria. The state governor, Aminu Bello Masari, is desperate for a reprieve. Hence, his call on people of the state to acquire weapons and defend themselves against the bandits. While the call has attracted widespread criticism, Governor Masari defended his stance by saying inadequate security personnel to tackle the menace is one of the reasons. Judy? Yes, out of frustration. This is born out of frustration. Yes. We've been following in the last 2-3 years, we've been following the move of Governor Masari trying to, at a point in time, trying to give amnesty to these bandits. At a point in time, you know, but everything has failed. And there's no advantage for that northwest state called Katsina, in spite of the fact that that's where Mr. President is from. Bandits are ravaging like 10 local governments in this particular state.
Yes, no governor of all the 7 governors of the northwest geopolitical zone has made efforts to end banditry like Aminu Bello Masari. At a point when he came up with the amnesty initiative, it worked. And these boys stopped kidnapping people. There was peace. I'm a witness to it. I went there. But when the states around him, the contiguous states around his state, failed to implement amnesty, we then had a situation in which some of the greedy bandits were coming into his state from Zamfara and other places. You understand? And some of the people who had been given amnesty to, because they could not operate in Zamfara, I mean in Katsina, because measures were put in place to ensure that if you tried to do cattle rustling or anything, you were going to be picked up by even your own fellow bandits. So that was in place. Some of them moved to Zamfara. Invariably, bandits from Zamfara, because Katsina shares many boundaries with Zamfara, they were now coming in. As I've said before, the bandits in the northwest and even north central, they stay in boundary communities. So that it's convenient for them to move. If you are attacking them from this community, they move into another state. That is what they do. They don't stay permanently in one place. So all of their camps are located in those boundary communities to other states so that they can easily move. Look at Dogo Gide, for example, operating in Niger. But from Niger, it can move into Kaduna. From Kaduna, it can move into Katsina.
The routes.
Yes, because those forests link one another. So this is the thing. Because others didn't implement amnesty in their states, his own amnesty program became imperiled. I once asked him, I said, why did you come up with amnesty? These guys are not likely to honor their word. He said, because they had done everything possible. They have spent billions on the armed forces. They pay allowances to the armed forces. They buy equipment for them. They buy vehicles and all that. At the end of the day, they were not getting results. And he said he could not watch people die. That was why he thought, okay, what are their demands? And then he went to negotiate with them. Some of their men who were in detention, they called for their release because they accused the police of even illegal detention of some of their men. They called for their release. The governor facilitated release of some of those people. Then we had respite for some time. Some of us could travel to the place, even to some distant places. But things have changed now. They are back. And when the governor said 10 states, it's actually 12 states that you know that banditry is happening. But the 10 states that they talked about are states, 10 local governments that the governor talked about are local where it happens every day.
Local governments?
Yes.
Local governments.
Yes, he said 10 local governments every day. There will be one report of attack or another. But it's not as if it is only those local government alone
that they are operating.
Yes, they are operating.
But this one's dolly. They must
every day.
attack.
There will be one report of attack.
Now, Mayor, the governor is looking at the hopelessness of the situation, because when you have a village and the bandits will attack the village for like 10 hours, have a field day, burn everything and everything. So the governor is not looking. Instead of you to be looking, you to devise a means.
I understand the frustration of the governor. I understand that. But I do not agree with him. Why I don't agree with him is that we cannot ask the people to resort to self-help. The primary duty of government is protection of lives and property.
But the government has failed to do that.
Protection of lives and property. What makes government is that people willingly surrender their sovereignty to the state. And it is the duty of the state to protect them. You understand? Before government, people were defending themselves. When you are in your farm, you defend your farm. When you want to go and do hunting, you defend your hunting. Then people sat down and said, okay, let us surrender our sovereignty to the state. So the state will now protect us. When the governor asks everybody to go and buy firearms, one, where did he expect them to buy the firearms from? Two, is it not more dangerous for everybody to have firearms, which they could make use of, they could put it to use into other things? It is a very dangerous development. I can understand this frustration. When you have tried everything and nothing seems to work, and some criminals, bandits will come and kill people on a daily basis. Yes, I can understand that frustration. But when you tell people to go and get guns and defend themselves, it is not the duty of people to get guns to defend themselves.
Okay, we have the opportunity to ask the governor now. Joining us live is from Katsina via Zoom. Is for more insight on this is the governor of Katsina State, Aminu Bello Masari. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Governor.
Thank you very much.
Now, Mayor Akikbelu is saying that, look, he doesn't agree with your tactics, that telling your people to look for a way to defend themselves, that means the responsibility of government to protect life and property, the purpose would have been defeated if you are asking people to to defend themselves.
Yes, I think let us start from the date we came in. That was 2015, what we met on ground, and the efforts we have made to have a relative peace for about 2 years. And what came after 2 years, because like you rightly said, the efforts we made were not made, especially in Zamfara at that time, and all the leaders of our amnesty and negotiation were killed from Zamfara and from other neighboring states. So why did I say what I said? And I have no regret with what I have said. And I've listened to the gentleman who is saying that, yes, but what is the natural instinct of every living thing? To protect and defend himself against adversaries around him for him to survive. Now, let me give you a simple scenario. Katsina State by 2006 had a population of 5.6 billion. Even if we are growing at 3%, what will be the population in 2023, 21 now? We are projecting a population of 7 to 8 million. Now, what is the total strength of the police in Katsina? The total strength of the police in Katsina is not more than, it's not up to 3,000. So if you divide by the number of population, you have an average of one policeman to over 200,000 people.
That's a joke.
And what form of ammunition do they have? A local government that has 34 policemen and has over 300 villages and towns. Tell me, how can 34 policemen police that area? They lack logistics in terms of equipment to move around. They lack all the necessary weapons. And above all, they lack the technology. So if you look at the military, How many are there in Katsina? The military are in all the states of the Federation. They have been suppressed so thin. And what is their equipment and technical capability in terms of reaching to the nook and crannies of the villages? What is the level of technology they are applying? Look, you see, when you are faced with the reality, people who sit somewhere, they are not faced with the reality of daily killing, daily kidnapping, daily raping, and daily cattle rustling, can say anything. We here in Katsina, we wake up every day. What we are saying, working with the police, there is need, and we are working on it to train people to defend their villages and communities. We can't simply fold our arms and meekly look. If the bandits are allowed to sack one village, they move to another village, they follow them to another village. Their host and them will move to how long will it continue? While knowing fully well, how long will it take the police to develop the capacity in terms of numbers, in terms of equipment, to be able to provide the needed, much needed security in every village and community? And in between the gap, are you saying that people should fold their arms? As you sit there, if somebody comes to slap you, your natural instinct is to raise your hand and protect your face. If he comes with a stick, you take a stick to protect yourself. And given the chance, you will also use a stick on him. So what are we saying? We know the numbers, we know the capabilities, we know the equipment they have. Look, it's only being fair to the security agencies at the moment that people should not meekly sit and wait while they can do something. That's what I mean.
Your Excellency.
And I stand by my words.
Your Excellency, sir, I've seen efforts in Katsina and even in Zamfara to develop some form of resistance through the vigilance teams. Is it not better to form vigilance teams in these frontline local governments, give them the training that they deserve, arm them, instead of simply saying everyone should go ahead and defend themselves?
Last week we completed training of 500 trained vigilantes. They were trained by members of the police and the armed forces. And within the next another week we will take 500. Our target is to have 3,000 trained vigilantes working with the police and the other security agencies. But when you secure a village, you then train the people in the village as volunteers to protect and defend themselves. The situation we have on ground, somebody will come to a village, a bandit, kidnap, collect over 500,000 from villagers. Or in some cases, if he hit a target of all the money, get up to 5 million. And the same community, when you say, okay, come, let us contribute and train these people to defend this village, especially in the night, against attacks, he will not give you 20,000. He will say, no, I have no money. But when he's, look, are you telling people to continue with this attitude, with this habit? I say no. And this training, like you rightly said, we have already done 500. We are going to continue with another 500. Our target is to have 3,000 that will support the military, the police, in order securing and policing our villages and communities. We will not fold our arms again.
Now, the vigilantes that are called Ensake in some parts of the Northwest, they are known to have even aggravated some of these conflicts, forcing some governors to even disband the Ensake. Don't you think these vigilantes that you are setting up will eventually get sucked in and even aggravate some of these conflicts?
I think that's why we are being systematic. One, every vigilante we are employing, we have his history, where he comes from. If he is armed, we know what he is armed. We know the police station and the division he is attached to. It's not that we are going, and we, this time around, these people will continue to keep them. We will have exit strategy for them, and we will maintain them so that they don't fall into the hands of Ansaka. We don't support them.
Your Excellency, I want to look at it from this point of view. You ask your citizens to harm themselves so that they'll be able to protect themselves because of the challenges. But don't you think that some people, by having access to guns, one, those guns, because in Nigeria, for you to have access to guns, you have to be licensed. And then when you now have access to those guns, can some people use those guns to do bad things themselves?
My friend, a criminal is a criminal, with gun or with no gun. A good man is a good man with gun or no gun. Are you telling me now, if you own a gun, you will turn into criminality? All the guns they are going to own are going to be supported by the police and are known. It's not about that we are talking out of common sense. No, we know what we are talking about. We know what we are galvanizing our people through the traditional rulers, through the religious leaders, to do the needful. To do the needful. And I do believe our approach will not aggravate problem. Criminals are criminals. So it's not only about owning firearms that makes someone a criminal. If you are saying owning firearms makes all of us a criminals, I don't know how. I don't think you can count the number of criminals we have in Nigeria.
Right, Honorable.
So, yes.
I want to ask you those areas that we've been talking about, because we reported earlier that sometimes as many as 10 local governments in Katsina State are troubled by these bandits. I want you to tell us the trouble spots in Katsina State.
You know, the most notorious of the troublestones are 8 local governments. But there are adjoining local governments besides Jibia, Masari, Safana, Musa, Kankara, Faskari, Sabwa, Dandume. They have adjournment with the forest areas. Then within neighbors, we have Mataz that is constantly under attack. We have Dusama that is also constantly under attack. We have also Musawa that is also under attack. And the supports of many local governments inside that are under attack from one time or the other. Even yesterday, they were in Bakoli. Bakoli is not bordering the forest, but they are neighbors to the local government that border the forest. They came in and kidnapped 5 people. So we have Danger, which is not neighboring that particular Lugu forest, but is nearer to some small forests bordering us with Kano State. They are also there, also kidnapping and killing and raping women. So the reality is that the core local governments are the local governments that are bordering the forest areas. But there are pockets of attacks in other local governments that mostly are adjacent to those local governments that are bordering the forest area.
Let us talk about state police, Your Excellency. Many people believe that state police will ultimately help us solve this problem. Where do you stand?
I have already made my position very clear. Are we not directly or indirectly having state police who is oiling the movement of the current police force that is in our states? The state governments. So what we are talking about is, let us have police that are properly trained and armed, that are called state police, and let us look at the constitution and see how we can accommodate that without weakening the federal government.
Like the frequent farmers header frictions that we normally have in Katsina State, we're told that you want to embrace ranching right now.
We have already, if you follow the papers, you will have seen our adverts. We had a program that will cost us about 12.5 billion, out of which the federal government is giving 6.50%, while the state government will fund 50%. Now we have made adverts. We have gone to the State House of Assembly for supplementary budget on the money that was given by the federal government. We have made adverts, and we are going to go into making provisions for herders to remain in the places that they were living before. Some of the places we are trying to rehabilitate have existed since the First Republic, up to the time of in the 70s. Yes. I think the advent of oil and over-dependent on oil money made us to jettison agriculture and livestock. And we saw encroachment, population explosion, also create another encroachment on the routes and the grazing areas. And now with the climate change also added another dimension to it. But what we are trying to do now is to make sure that we rehabilitate all the 30 acid dams, rebuild them completely. Those will become not temporary dams, but permanent dams that will provide water for cattle, animals, and some small irrigation schemes. Alongside, we will also create, since we have the land, some grazing areas where the collection of all herders living in that area will have opportunity to graze their animals there without roaming about, without going into other people's homes. You know, when we were growing up, we had all these community grazing areas. In my village, we had one where you take your goats, sheep, and small ruminants to go without going to other people's farms.
So this is like discouraging open grazing. This is like, this move is to discourage open grazing.
No, I think it's not to discourage, we should stop it.
To stop it?
Stop it. What the problem is, the herders coming all the way from Mali to Niger. I had an experience of that in 1983. The herders coming from Mali, Niger, and other African countries, those are the ones that brought violence to our local Fulanis that we were living together before. And immediately the culture of violence settled within the Fulani communities, and from matches and cutlasses, it moved to guns now, as we're witnessing. Now they have become no longer cattle wrestling, they are bandits, they are insurgents, they are criminals with sophisticated weapons, and they should not be spared. There is no reason to spare anybody. I don't think I have faith in anybody living in that forest. Anybody I see in that forest, for me, until proven otherwise, is criminal.
Now, these forests are so extensive. How do we defend them? How do we protect forests?
Use technology. The world has moved. Nigeria has to move with the world. With technology, we can be able to monitor and control what happens in the forest.
Let us also go back to the issue of traditional means of producing livestock. You are the son of a milk seller. How do you convince the average nomadic Fulani man that, look, open grazing is not fashionable anymore, that they could even produce a lot more if they were localized in an area like ranching will allow us to witness? How do you go to the grassroots? How do you convince them, since they've been used to this type, this way of life?
You know, what we have started, this issue of ranches we are trying to develop in Katsina State. We had a stakeholders meeting of which I participated, with the leaders of the farmers and leaders of the Arados and Fulanis, district heads and village heads, the imams. Now, I have also approved that they will go to each of these 10 local governments that are bordered on the forest in particular, do a sensitization stakeholders, meaning the role of community and the role of government and what is expected in terms of sensitization. Once we start and they start to see the benefit, because even if they want to roam about now, the cattle rules are gone. And once they enter somebody's farm, there's going to be a problem. So it is not in their interest to even start going into other people's farm. And alongside, we are reintroducing cattle tax so that we know how many cattle are there in the state. As I'm talking to you now, you're asking me how many heads of cattle do we have in Katsina? I don't know. Why? Because recording has been abandoned since in the 70s. So the benefit of this census of cattle is not only for the revenue, but for the fact to know what you have so that you can plan. I'm telling you now, the current Fulani, the good ones are among them, are desirous of these extension services, and I'm sure they will key into the extension service.
Let me take you back to the vigilante groups that are being recruited and trained. Are they going to be based in towns and villages, or they are going to operate on local government basis?
First of all, now, as I'm talking to now, we are conducting operations in Jibia and Masari local governments using the trained vigilantes. When we secure all the areas, what we intend to have is a village committee vigilante. We have amended the Local Government Act, law here in Katsina, that provides for village security system, ward security system, and district health security system, forming committees of critical people in each community, plus the community police officer available in that community, to form a village community security council. And they will feed the ward, and from the ward they will feed the local government and the district head. The district head will now feed the local government and feed also the Emirate Council. So through there, we will restore certain authority and dignity of the and sustain and maintain these small villages in each and every community in providing security through this arrangement. And by the side, working with the judiciary, we have also developed alternative resolution centers. These small conflicts don't have to go to court, but will be resolved there. I think all these put together will bring sanity into our community and bring life to what it used to be as much as possible.
How are you dealing with internally displaced persons in Katsina? Because with these constant attacks, IDPs will definitely increase in number. How are you handling the matter of displaced persons?
We have a state emergency, we have Ministry for Social Welfare, and together we are reaching the people in the village. We are reaching the people in the village or in the local government. So the idea is we'll reach you in your village, support you, give you food and financial support in your village center. That will become something else. What we will not do, anybody who wants to bring support to our displaced people should come through recognized authorities. We don't want these people who use pictures of innocent people to collect money from outside Nigeria, either to collect money from religious organizations or from well-to-do here in Nigeria. We will not allow that. We are in full and firm control of whatever in the locality, so that we don't want a situation where a problem is created that is bigger than the problem they meet on ground.
So finally, let me ask you, Your Excellency, now what do you think is responsible for banditry all of a sudden in Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, Niger State? We're experiencing something that is unprecedented. All of a sudden, even the Zamfara state governor was saying that he has over 30,000 bandits in Zamfara state alone. What do you think is responsible for this menace?
Is going off. Can you hear me now?
Yes. We can hear you.
You see, it has a very long history. I started telling you that how cattle rustling started from Mali and gradually came into Nigeria. You can check the records. Now, it came into Nigeria as a result of the oil boom that we had in the early 70s. The issue of those living in the forest were virtually neglected. And we saw massive population explosion in the forest, though they lack Islamic and Western education. That what our experience has shown in the forest area. Now, in order to overcome that, you have to reclaim the areas under your jurisdiction and do the needful what is. But largely what is responsible, first, this from outside Nigeria into Nigeria with different cultures and different attitudes. Then we saw the fall of Gaddafi, the political turbulence in Mali, in Chad, in Libya, in many other North African and some West African countries, saw the massive inflow of arms and ammunition. And alongside it, we saw the inflow of hardened drugs, illicit drinks, and many things that came and influenced the locality that have no Islamic or Western education. And we saw the activities of miners in Zamfara who came with all sorts of things. The objective is to get mineral resources and go with it. The consequences, they don't care. And like you rightly said, the mother of all the banditry here in the Northwest really is Zamfara. They have larger forests. Most of the leaders, they are hibernating there. They are originally from there. And some of them also from Katsina, I must admit. But the reality is, we can say it was a neglect of over 40 years that it developed what we are having today. It's not the fault of the previous government. No, it has been a neglect that we saw it traits since in the 70s up what we are reaping now, what we are dealing with. That's why it is important that we deal with this in order to postpone. Because if we conquer the situation now without addressing the problem, maybe after 10, 15 years, there may be a spring back. So I'm not hoping for that, but certainly I think this is some of the contributing factors that brought us to where we are today.
Katsina State, thank you for your time. Thank you for that insight.
Thank you very much
for your frankness. Right Honorable Bello Aminu Masari, the governor of Katsina State. Babajide, vintage Masari.
Yes,
because there's this, the first one that I want to ask you, there's this erroneous impression that it's only the southern governors that are pushing for the abolition of open grazing. Honorable Masari did not miss word here.
Yes, he said it should be banned, that it has to stop, that even the grazing rules are no longer there. So
this is the second governor I'm seeing now.
If you get into people's farms, that's if you are not counting Otom as a northern governor. Because Otom is a northern governor and he does not approve. Yes.
Ganduje is very neatly.
Ganduje is supposed to it, and he has taken steps. He has taken steps in Falgore and Dansoshia where we can resettle the Fulani headsmen. And I went there, I saw them. They are having fun. They are enjoying the place. They are enjoying the place. They spoke on camera that, look, we don't need to go all the way to the south. There's water here. Our women are here. They are building schools for them. They build schools for them. They will bring in veterinary doctors for them. Everything. Then the police post, they are building a police post. So even the cattle rustling that they suffer from while they are migrating from one place to another, it will not happen because they are in a place that is secure, that has constant electricity, constant water, then the pasture will be fine. So why do you need to go? We saw Kwamwan's farm. Look at his cattle, see how healthy they were looking. They don't have to leave that place, they get fed. Even the cattle will be happy. You see, this is Kwamwan's farm. Yes. You can see, they are providing all that they need to eat.
Stationary.
You know? So that is the thing. It is not true that every northerner or every governor from the north opposes this. I remember that we interviewed people like Dr. Salem Momale, one of the best Fulani, knowledgeable in these matters. And he said, look, that is the way to go now. If you remember, we interviewed Salem Omali. He said this is the way to go now. They just need to sensitize the traditional people that, look, we can't continue like this. And the president also needs to be sensitized. Because the president appears to be obsessed with
that's the key. Because the federal government is still announcing grazing rules.
Yes, so more and more people need to be sensitized that, look, grazing routes not the solution anymore. Look at what this governor said. He said the grazing routes are no longer, people have built houses on them, and if you encroach on people's farms, they will fight you.
What was the population of Nigeria in 1963?
That is the thing. We need to let our people know. I saw Kano State, even artificial insemination, which will help them to produce more cattle. They are doing it. For the Fulani
I think ultimately
pastoralists.
We will agree on this thing when we discuss back and forth.
Yeah, but I think the governors should use their position to be able to convince the president and vis-a-vis the federal government that obsession with grazing rules cannot work. This is the governor of the home state of the president saying that those rules are no longer there. But federal government is still saying they want to establish grazing rules. And that is a part of the problem.
Even the Land Use Act vests responsibility for land in any state on the government.
On the government. So I'm sure that the government is still
go to court.
Still backing on a program that cannot work, that is not there. That somebody in Abuja is so obsessed with grazing rules. I don't understand
how that will work. Ultimately, that he will be convinced in the fullness of time that, look, this can't work. This is not the first time we are seeing the president pursue a course of action, and then invariably he will change his mind. The president, for example, didn't want to sack his service chiefs, despite the fact that they were declining in performance. But ultimately, he had to take that decision. You know, he had to take that decision. So, in this case too, I believe that reason will prevail in the final analysis. That way, we will not put the cattle in harm's way. We will not put the nomad in harm's way. We will not put communities in harm's way.
All right, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be right back after this time out. Please don't go away.